What's going on, guys? This is Andre here with the Kevin Breeze channel, and in this video, we're going to be doing a comparison between the Samsung Galaxy A52 and the Samsung Galaxy A51. The Samsung Galaxy A52, of course, is the direct successor of the Samsung Galaxy A51, and the Samsung Galaxy A51 has been known to be a really great device, so we're going to see what's changed with this newest model. Now, before we start, I do want to point out that this version of the Samsung Galaxy A52 is the international variant, so definitely keep that in mind. That being said, let's get started. So the Samsung Galaxy A52 has a 6.5-inch 90Hz Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 1080p, a PPI of 407, an aspect ratio of 20:9, and a screen-to-body ratio of 84.6%. We got a hole punch up here for the front-facing camera, and this camera is 32 megapixels. The Samsung Galaxy A51 has a 6.5-inch Super AMOLED display as well, and this one is not 90Hz, it is only a 60Hz refresh rate. This display also has a resolution of 1080p and a PPI of 405, and an aspect ratio of 20:9 as well. So these displays are really similar. The biggest difference between these two really is that the Samsung Galaxy A52 has a 90Hz display, whereas the A51 only has a 60Hz display. Now, the way this makes a difference is in the movements on the screen. So the animations and motions in general on the Samsung Galaxy A52 are a little bit smoother than the Samsung Galaxy A51. It might not be that obvious, but you can definitely tell the scrolling is quite a bit smoother on the Samsung Galaxy A52. And when you get into things like higher performance gaming or content consumption like streaming videos and that sort of thing, you're definitely going to notice that difference with the higher refresh rate of the Samsung Galaxy A52. In addition to that, the Samsung Galaxy A51 also does have a hole punch for the front-facing camera, and this camera is 32 megapixels. So on paper at least, these cameras are the exact same. Now we're gonna see a little bit later if their photo quality is similar, which it may or may not be. Now both of these phones have 128 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion. This is definitely a good amount of storage. I personally set my minimum to 64 gigabytes. I think that's the lowest amount you can really get and still have a good experience. And these phones both have double that. So I think that that is really nice, especially for a mid-level phone. A lot of phones in this price range only have 64 gigabytes and these have 128. And with apps and files in general just getting larger and larger as time goes on, it's a good idea to have more storage than you think you need, because it's better to have extra storage and never need it than it is to run out of storage. Now, neither of these phones have wireless charging, unfortunately. I was hoping that they would change that with the Samsung Galaxy A52, but unfortunately they didn't. That's still a feature that they mostly just put in higher end and flagship phones, which I think is pretty unfortunate, because I think the more mid-level and lower end phones could use wireless charging just as well, if not better. But both of these phones have not only a fingerprint scanner, but also face unlock. So that's good. You get two different options besides putting in a PIN or a password or something like that to unlock your phone. And it makes it really convenient because in some situations, face unlock might work out a little bit better, and in others, fingerprint scanners are great, so you really can't go wrong with having both. That being said, let's give these fingerprint scanners a try and see how well they perform. We're going to start with the Samsung Galaxy A52. There we go. One more time. Really fast. I have no complaints about this. It works really well. Some of these in-display fingerprint scanners are a little bit questionable. Sometimes I wonder if they actually are as good as something that's physical, say on the power button or on the back here, like a lot of the older ones were. But this one does work really well, and I'm pretty impressed. Let's try out the A51 now. Great, one more time. So this one works just as well. So overall, I really don't think anything has changed at all. I was gonna say the appearance changed a little bit, but I really don't think it did. I think it looks pretty much exactly the same. So that's good because the first one with the A51 was good enough. So I don't think it really needed to change for the A52. I'm glad they did keep it the same though, because a lot of the time when there's a newer edition of a phone, for example, going from the A51 to the A52, sometimes they'll try out something new with it that ends up not really working out too well. But in this case, they use pretty much the same fingerprint scanner, and it not only looks really good, but also performs really well too. Now let's take a look at the rear camera setups. The Samsung Galaxy A52 has a 64 megapixel rear camera, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera, a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 5 megapixel macro camera, so it pretty much has everything. The Samsung Galaxy A51 has a 48 megapixel rear camera, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera, a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. So basically the same things, although the rear camera on the Samsung Galaxy A51 does have slightly lower megapixels, but that doesn't really make a huge difference because megapixels don't exactly determine how good the camera is. So we're gonna go through a couple examples and see how these cameras actually compare. So these pictures were taken with the rear cameras of each phone. They do look really similar, both of them are really good, but I would say the Samsung Galaxy A52 does have a slightly better quality than the photo taken by the Samsung Galaxy A51. The exposure and lighting is handled a lot better on the Samsung Galaxy A52 than it is with the Samsung Galaxy A51. If you look really closely, you can see it's a lot brighter and the colors are a lot more vivid on the Samsung Galaxy A52's photo, whereas this picture, while still being really good as far as the sharpness and quality goes, is a little bit darker and the colors aren't quite as bright or vivid. That being said, both of them take really good professional quality photos. I know from experience that the Samsung Galaxy A51 is great as far as photography and videography goes, because I record a lot of videos for this channel with the Samsung Galaxy A51 and they turn out great. Now these pictures were taken with the front-facing camera of each phone. I think both of them look really good. On one hand, the picture taken by the Samsung Galaxy A51 is really bright, in fact a lot brighter than the A52. The details are just as vivid and the colors do look really good, but the highlights are really strong. Whereas with the Samsung Galaxy A52, if you look really closely, the shadows in the colors and everything have a little bit more emphasis and they look slightly more dramatic. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of the iPhone 12 pictures. With the iPhone 12's camera, all the pictures you take have this really powerful, super detailed shadow kind of effect on them just naturally without anything added to it. And the Samsung Galaxy A52 on the front-facing camera to some degree has a similar effect. There's something about the colors and the details in this picture, especially with the highlights and shadows, that really make it come to life. Whereas the Samsung Galaxy A51, even though it doesn't have that type of effect, still has a really powerful quality. Now, the reason I don't really think the difference is that important is that you can take this picture that was taken with the Samsung Galaxy A51, put it in pretty much any mobile photo editing app, and make it look almost the exact same as this picture right here. But as far as the camera quality goes, I would say the Samsung Galaxy A52 does take slightly better pictures overall. But really, if you're looking for a device that takes really good quality photos and you want to use them for a more professional purpose, then either of these phones would be a great option for that. Now, the video quality of both of these devices is going to have pretty much the same difference. Both of these phones are able to shoot in 4K in both the front and the rear cameras. So again, if you're looking for a device that's really affordable, but also has a really professional quality as far as videos and photos go, then both of these phones are really good options. Now internally, the Samsung Galaxy A52 is getting 6 GB of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G processor. The Samsung Galaxy A51 is getting 4 GB of RAM with the Samsung Exynos 9611 processor. So that's definitely a little bit of an improvement. The Samsung Galaxy A52 has, of course, 2 GB of RAM more in its processor, so that's definitely a good thing. We ran Geekbench 5 benchmark tests on both of these phones, and the Samsung Galaxy A52 came back with a single core score of 538, and a multi-core score of 1559, and the Samsung Galaxy A51 came back with a single core score of 348 and a multi-core score of 1219. So definitely an improvement here. It's not a huge amount. It didn't go a giant leap ahead with the Samsung Galaxy A52, but you can clearly see that the processing power has been improved. I wouldn't say that it puts them in different leagues from one another, but if you're looking for the phone with a little bit more processing power, the Samsung Galaxy A52 is definitely going to be a small step better. Just to give you a more tangible idea of what this difference in processing power is going to look like, I'm going to do a little demonstration so you can see it for yourself. We're going to start by opening Google Chrome. So as you can see there, the Samsung Galaxy A52 did open that a little bit faster. It wasn't a whole lot, but the difference was still there. We're going to try a web page now and see if it's consistent. So that was really just about the same. We're going to try one more web page and see if it does anything different. So that time, the Samsung Galaxy A52 did have a clear advantage there as far as speed goes. We're going to try one more just to be extra sure. And again, the Samsung Galaxy A52 did open that just a tiny bit faster. So as you could see from that demonstration, it wasn't an insane difference, but the difference was there. And that is going to carry over into more heavy use too, which is where you're really going to see the difference. If you're constantly browsing the web or using something like a social media app a lot, then the Samsung Galaxy A52 is going to hold up a little bit more to that heavy use than the Samsung Galaxy A51 will. But for casual use, and even if you're on this stuff a lot, it's really not going to make such a huge difference that it's a deal breaker, but it's still going to be there. So if you're looking for something with more processing power and you know you're going to be using your phone heavily on more high-powered apps and stuff, I would definitely say the Samsung Galaxy A52 has an edge because of that slightly extra processing power, and the extra 2 GB of RAM is going to help you do things that require more multitasking as well. Now we're definitely seeing a clear improvement in the battery here. The Samsung Galaxy A51 wasn't bad with the 4000 mAh battery that supports 15-watt fast charging, but it has been upgraded in the Samsung Galaxy A52 to a 4500 mAh battery that supports 25-watt fast charging. So you're not only going to get more life per charge, more longevity down the road, but you're also going to be able to charge the phone faster if you have a fast charger. Now, a couple other things that were added to the Samsung Galaxy A52 that weren't previously in the Samsung Galaxy A51 that I thought were really cool is, first of all, this model of the Samsung Galaxy A52 does have NFC. NFC is the technology behind contactless payment systems like Samsung Pay and Google Pay, and is becoming more and more popular these days, so it was really nice to see that added to the Samsung Galaxy A52. Now this phone also has dust and water resistance. The water resistance is up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. And that's really impressive, considering that phones that aren't flagship phones typically don't have dust and water resistance. I was pleasantly surprised to find out that the Samsung Galaxy A52 actually does. And of course, the Samsung Galaxy A52 does have Android 11, and the Samsung Galaxy A51 comes standard with Android 10. But as you can see from this little edge panel here, you can update the Samsung Galaxy A51 to Android 11, so that's not a huge deal. And it's pretty expected, seeing that the Samsung Galaxy A52 is a brand new phone that came out this year, and we are on Android 11, so that doesn't really matter a whole lot. But just keep that software difference in mind, and know that you can actually use Android 11 on the Samsung Galaxy A51. Now, in conclusion, is the Samsung Galaxy A52 an improvement from the Samsung Galaxy A51? I would definitely say so. Now, it's debatable whether or not you would consider the change in the design an improvement. The Samsung Galaxy A52 is visibly thicker than the Samsung Galaxy A51, definitely has a little bit more weight to it, and instead of a reflective material that the Samsung Galaxy A51 has, the Samsung Galaxy A52 has a matte, kind of frosted feeling material, but I personally like it a little bit better than the Samsung Galaxy A51. Now, if you like thinner phones with thinner bezels, then you might like the A51 better. But I think that even though the Samsung Galaxy A52 has a slightly thicker bezel and is just a little bit bigger in general, I think the quality of the display, especially the 90 Hz element, really makes up for it and makes it feel newer, even though it's a little bit thicker. I do like the fact that they kept the stuff that I really liked about the A51 pretty much the same. They have the exact same design for the front-facing camera, and the size of the display is perfect in my opinion. It's not too big and not too small. So I think that they really did do a good job with the design. Now, as far as performance specs go, I think that this is undoubtedly an upgrade. If they didn't keep something the exact same, they did improve it. This goes for the display. Again, the Samsung Galaxy A51 only has a 60 Hz display, whereas the Samsung Galaxy A52 has a 90 Hz display. So that's definitely improvement. The camera is visibly better, as you saw in that little demonstration. The processing power, again, even though it's not an insane difference that you really notice right away, it is definitely better. There's no doubt about that. The battery has been upgraded a little bit, and they added NFC and dust and water resistance, so that makes it even better. So I would say that overall, the Samsung Galaxy A52 is definitely an upgrade from the A51. They really did do a good job, improving pretty much all the subtle things about the A51 that I had hoped they would improve, so that's really good to see. I do wish they added wireless charging. Unfortunately, it's still a feature that they only really put in higher end and flagship phones, although I have seen it in a couple mid-level and lower end phones, but I'm hoping in the next few generations we will get there. Other than that, I definitely would say the Samsung Galaxy A52 is an upgrade from the A51. So if you're trying to decide between the two and have the budget to do so, I would say that if you go for the A52, you won't regret it. That being said, both phones are really great options for a well-balanced device that's able to do pretty much anything you want it to do while still being reasonably affordable. Whether you want to do something like high-performance gaming, or if you want to take really good pictures, or if you just want to use social media and browse the web and do basic functions, you can pretty much do it all on these phones. So the Samsung Galaxy A51 is not a bad option at all either. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And for more info on the pricing and availability of the devices, be sure to check the link in the description because that stuff is always changing. And for more info on the phones themselves, don't forget to watch the full reviews of the phones on the channel. But that's it for today, guys. As always, I will see you in the next video.